Considering moving to Denver, Colorado? Well, today I'm going to be talking about 13 pros and 13 cons of living in Denver, Colorado, so stay tuned. My name is Landon and I am an associate broker, realtor, and the marketing manager for Mod Estate. Today I'm going to be talking all about Denver. I'm here at Sloan's Lake and I have a ton of videos that I'm filming and I'm very excited. So we're going to be starting off the day with talking about the pros and cons of living in Denver, Colorado. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell icon, and we will get right on into it. Okay, so for our first pro of living in Denver, Colorado, we're going to talk about how there are great, fantastic neighborhoods and places to live here. That is often one of the first things that people want to know when they're considering relocating to a new city. What's it like living there? What are the neighborhoods and places like to choose from? I'm actually in the process of making a video about the top 35 neighborhoods and places to live in Denver. So that's going to be dropping probably the same day that I drop this video. So I'll post a link to it. Here's a card here so you can check it out. In that video, I go over the top 35 neighborhoods in Denver, Colorado. There's tons, dozens and dozens and dozens of neighborhoods to choose from. And really, it just depends on what your preference is and what your budget is. There is something for everyone, for all different lifestyles, walks of life. There are fantastic places to live here in Denver. So check out that video, but that is our first pro of living in Denver. No matter what type of home you're looking for, condo, townhome, or super luxurious old classic home, whatever it is you're looking for, you can find it in Denver, and that is our first pro. Our second pro of living in Denver, Colorado is for its proximity to the Rocky Mountains. Now, that is a huge pro. The Rocky Mountains are incredible. In Colorado, there's, over 50 different peaks that are over 14,000 feet high. There's national parks, state parks, incredible places to camp, incredible places to explore, tons of skiing opportunities, resorts, things like that, hot springs, all within the Rocky Mountains in Colorado. And Denver is pretty close to them. You can see them from the grand majority of the city. You get great views of the Rocky Mountains from Denver, and I would even turn it around to show you right now. I can see some of it, but I'm under the shade of a tree right now, so I don't have a perfect view to show you. But that is the second pro of living in Denver, Colorado. You're pretty dang close to those Rocky Mountains, and you get awesome views, awesome sunsets of them, and it provides great places and things to do throughout the week and during the weekends. Our third pro of living in Denver, Colorado is that the economy is pretty solid here. Like, this is a thriving economy, it's booming, things are going really well in a ton of different industries, a ton of different markets. A lot of big companies have their headquarters here in Denver, and a lot more companies are moving here, moving their headquarters and moving their offices and opening up branches here in Denver. You'll also notice that a lot of small businesses are started and founded here in Denver. It's just a great place for work, lots of good job opportunities, business is good, the economy's good, so keep that in mind as our third pro of living here in Denver. Jumping into our fourth pro of living in Denver, Colorado, let's talk about some sports teams. I don't know about you, but I sure do love watching professional competitive sports. And Denver has it all, which is something that a lot of the states here out west don't have. For example, Utah doesn't have a professional football team. Nebraska, do they have anything? I don't really know much about Nebraska, but Colorado really has it all, from a professional football team, a professional baseball team. They used to have 2 professional lacrosse teams, now they only have 1. Professional hockey. What am I missing? Professional soccer. Really, no matter what professional sport you're into that you love watching, like I said, NFL, MLB, things like that, they have a team here in Colorado, and most of them, if not all of them, are actually located in Denver. For example, the field that the Broncos play at is just a few minutes from where I am right now. Same for the Coors Field where the professional baseball team, the Rockies, play. So there's a lot of great teams, and the best part is these teams are pretty dang competitive too. Like the Broncos have won Super Bowls. They've won one not even just a few years back in 2015. So that not only are they does Denver have a lot of great professional sports teams that are located within the city that you can watch, but they're pretty dang good and pretty dang competitive. So keep that in mind as our fourth pro. Our fifth pro of living in Denver, Colorado is that there are 4 distinct seasons here. Now, a lot of states throughout the US, a lot of cities throughout the US, they don't have that advantage of having like 4 distinct seasons. So what am I talking about? You know, there's a very prevalent summer, fall, winter, and spring in Denver, Colorado. And, you know, I think it's really, I've lived in Colorado my whole life, and I have really enjoyed that. I love it when it switches from spring to summer. I love the feeling of going and getting a winter season. That is something that you just don't get in a lot of other cities and states. You know, for example, Arizona, it's hot all year round. Sure, it gets a little bit cooler in the winter times, but it is hot all year round. You don't get the snow. So that's a cool part about living in Denver. You're gonna see snow, you're gonna see sunny days, you're gonna see good weather, you're gonna see the leaves change in the fall. Great place in terms of weather. For our 6th Pro, this one's pretty general, but there are a lot of outdoor adventures in Denver and indoor adventures. But I'm here right now at Sloan Lake, and this is just a beautiful place that you can just bring a fishing pole if you have a fishing license and go fishing. There's a lot of people walking their dogs, going for jogs, enjoying the beautiful scenery, the beautiful day. There's just a lot of outdoor activities, outdoor adventures, and things not only in Denver, but near Denver. Like I said, Rocky Mountains are very, very close. Lots of adventures to be had there too. So lots of cool things to do in the Denver area. Number 7, this one might be a little bit surprising to you, but the sunsets and the night skies in Denver are beautiful. Like I said, from most of Denver, you can see the beautiful Rocky Mountains and the sunsets in the west. So it sets right over those Rockies, and it just makes those evening night skies just absolutely beautiful. From a lot of locations in Denver, you can actually get a good view of the sky, the stars. So like kind of going along with just having good views, it gets beautiful here. Number 8, this one's pretty quick, but taxes are actually lower here in Denver than the US average, and than they are in a lot of states, especially in a lot of big capital cities. Taxes are lower in Denver, so that's definitely a pro of living here. And going along with that, medical care is actually on the cost of living index is cheaper in Denver than the US average. Medical care is very affordable. There's a lot of fantastic medical facilities scattered throughout Denver. It is a good place to get medical care, to pay for medical care. So keep that in mind. That is pretty dang affordable here compared to other comparable cities. Number 10, weekend getaways. So this goes along with its location being close to the Rocky Mountains, but also, you know, Denver is located more or less in the center of Colorado. So there's a lot of opportunities for weekend getaways where you don't want to maybe take a plane and go to another state or go somewhere like that. Taking a drive, going to a nice place, going to the mountains, going to a national park, going to a state park like Chatfield or Cherry Creek, and just getting away from the weekend, getting out of the capital city, camping, hiking, going to see a really popular landmark, things like that. It's very close to Denver. A lot of these places, most of Colorado is within 4 hours of Denver, so weekend getaway, it's really easy to do a nice weekend getaway, a really affordable vacation, and see some amazing places that Colorado has to offer from Denver. Number 11, the Denver International Airport is one of the most popular airports in the whole world. It's actually in the top 10, believe it or not. So the Denver International Airport is just, a little bit outside of Denver. You can get to anywhere you need to go. It's a very popular airport. It's used as like kind of the middle airport for a lot of places. So a lot of people tend to have layovers in Denver for that reason, which makes it nice for you. If you live in Denver, getting to the airport's really easy. And then this airport will get you to where you need to go. It's a fantastic airport. So keep that in mind. If you travel a lot, that could be a really good pro for you. Number 12 is schools and school districts. There's a lot of good schools in Denver, a lot of good areas. Denver County is a good county that feeds into a lot of great schools, school districts. Cherry Creek School District, depending on, if you live more on that eastern side of Denver, you could feed into that Cherry Creek School District, which is commonly known as the best school district in the greater Denver area, but arguably it's the best school district in Colorado. So that's a big plus, but there's a lot of great schools, high schools, elementary schools, private schools, a lot of good colleges, community colleges in Denver. Denver University is a top tier private university here in Denver, but in terms of education, there are many options and many good places to send your kids or to go to if you're going to college. And number 13, restaurants and dining. Denver being a capital city with a big population, with a lot of diversity, you have a lot of options for restaurants. I mean, in terms of fast food, you're covered. You're gonna have all the chains, everything that you could dream or crave. But in terms of like really fancy, sit down luxury restaurants, you got it covered. Garden Grace, for example, I had the best steak I've ever had in my life a couple of years ago at Garden Grace, which is located right in downtown Denver. But yeah, restaurants, a lot of good, authentic, local restaurants too that have been here for a long time. So restaurants, dining, eating, great options in the Denver area. All right, so that covers our 13 pros of living in Denver, Colorado. Comment below what pro you liked the most, or maybe you have other pros that I didn't mention here. There's a ton of pros about living in Denver, Colorado. Comment below what pros you've seen or heard of. But let's go ahead and jump into the cons. 13 cons of living in Denver, Colorado. So this might help you weed this city out if it's really not a good fit for you. And I have a ton of other guides and resources on the website, on this YouTube channel, so you can visit modestateteam.com and you'll be able to find more details about this. But let's go ahead and jump into the 13 cons of living here in Denver. First con, as many of you might have expected, is the cost of living in Denver is very high. Denver tends to be well above the in terms of the cost of living index. So housing, median home price, grocery, transportation, things like that are not only well above the United States averages, but they're above the Colorado averages as well. So living in Denver tends to be more expensive than living in other areas in Colorado and other areas in the United States. And we'll dive in a little bit deeper into that for our second con, and that is that Denver has a very competitive housing market. The median home price in Denver is in the 500,000s, which is very high. The median home price around the United States is more in the 300s, 400,000s. The median home price in Colorado as a whole is around 488,000. So not only are the homes more expensive in Denver, just in terms of averages and medians, but it's very competitive, especially right now. I know it's competitive in the whole world, but Colorado has been seeing a lot of competition. The housing market here is crazy, and Denver is no exception to that. A lot of people are getting dozens of offers on their home, and it's very hard to really lock something in. Homes are going for well over ask. So that's something that we've definitely seen recently. But over the last decade, it has just become very competitive here to buy a home. It makes it very hard for first-time home buyers, but still possible. That's definitely something that we can help you with if you're looking to get into the housing market. I'm a realtor, and we have plenty of amazing realtors at Modestate that can help you with your buying and selling needs. So let us know. Comment below or visit our website, modestateteam.com, if you have any real estate needs. Number 3, the third con of living in Denver, Colorado is the traffic. There is often road construction. I was just trying to pull into a parking lot over there, and there was construction that was causing traffic, made it very hard to get around. Denver is surrounded by some of Colorado's most used highways, which means that there's a lot of traffic, a lot of people commuting to and out of Denver. It just gets very congested. So commuting, it can take longer in Denver. Now, comparing this to other cities like Chicago or New York or Los Angeles, for example, it's not going to compare. The traffic is not nearly as bad here in Denver as it is in those places. All I'm saying is the traffic can be bad, it can be frustrating, it's going to make your commuting times much longer, and it's just something that you have to deal with here in Denver. Plus, the traffic's likely going to keep getting worse as we see this influx in people moving to and living in Denver. So it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the altitude. Denver is known as being the mile-high city, meaning that it's a mile over 5,000 feet above sea level. That is very high. I don't know if you've been to Denver, maybe you're living in Colorado, I'm not sure, but for those of you who aren't, it's something to get used to. Living in a high altitude place is pretty brutal, especially if you like being active, like being outside. It takes some time to get used to. Even for natives, you can still get altitude sickness, especially if you go to the mountains. So keep that in mind. Altitude with sunburns can be brutal. It doesn't feel that hot, but since you're higher up, the sun really gets you. So altitude is going to be this con of living in Denver, Colorado. Now, number 5, the 5th con of living in Denver, is the transportation. Now, there's compared to other cities, the transportation system, I would say, isn't quite as built out in Denver. Most people, I'd say, own cars, and that's the main form of transportation, which leads to that big traffic problem that I talked about in an earlier con. But not only that, there is what they call like the light rail system and RTD system. And that provides some decent transportation around the Denver area, but there's not as many buses in Denver as you would see in other large and capital cities throughout the US. So public transportation is relatively limited, I'd say. They're working on it. Like I said, the RTD system has helped. But if you rely on public transport, it's not going to be quite as affordable, I'd say, or quite as efficient to getting around and exactly where you need to go as some other larger cities might be. Number 6, this one's obvious if you've ever looked at a map, but Denver is landlocked. You don't get any, not only is it landlocked, but it is nowhere near the ocean, nowhere near any beach. So if you like the beach life, if that's important to you, maybe you're from California and you've grown up with that, that's going to be very different here in Denver. You'll get some lakes, you'll get some reservoirs, but nothing like an ocean or an ocean beach or anything like that. So keep that in mind as our 6th con of living in Denver. Number 7, sometimes people refer to Denver as being a bland city compared to the Los Angeleses and the Chicagos and some of these cities that are known for a variety of different things. They have crazy different culinary arts and artistic and just a wide range of culture and diversity. Some people think that Denver is a little bit more bland and it's known for less things that other cities and places in the United States are known for. Keep that in mind as a con. It's the Mile High City, but there are some great things, don't get me wrong, but compared to some other cities, you might find it to be a touch bland. Number 8, winters. I talked about how there's 4 distinct seasons in Denver, and that's really nice, but winter is the longest season. You're going to have longer, colder months than you will hotter months and warmer months. You will see snow, you will see ice. So if you really don't like those two things, if you don't like the cold, you don't like the snow, you hate driving the ice, you're going to have that in Denver. It's going to be something you're going to have to deal with, and it's definitely a con, even if you love the snow. Driving in the snow, living in the snow can be rough. It is a con. Number 9, the windy season, which we are in the middle of right now. That's why I have to take cover under this tree to get good sound quality and not have my hair messed up every 5 seconds. The windy season is super annoying in Denver. It just gets in your face. It doesn't stop. It blows over your grill or whatever. It blows over your table, breaks stuff in your backyard. The windy season in Denver and throughout Colorado is super annoying. Super annoying. I hate the wind. It's my least favorite thing. Sorry if I just bumped the mic there. But I hate the wind. It's a huge con for me. I dislike that season. It doesn't last the whole year. There's not crazy winds throughout the whole year in Denver, but when that wind comes, it blows and it lasts for weeks and you just get so sick of it. Now, our 10th con of living in Denver, Colorado. We alluded to the proximity of the Rocky Mountains, but the Rocky Mountains, sometimes depending on the place you're going, if you're going to a ski resort, let's say Winter Park, that can be hours away. The traffic in the Rockies, it's usually, for the most part, it's just a 2-lane highway throughout the Rockies, I-70. It can be brutal. It can take you hours to get home, or to get to your location, because a lot of people are going out for weekend getaways. They're going out to enjoy the scenery, take advantage of some time in nature. So some of these areas throughout Colorado, throughout the Rockies, can really just be hours away from Denver, not because of just pure geographic location hours away, but because with snow and with weather and with traffic, it can really be much farther than it actually seems and than it actually should be. So it's something they've been working on over the last years. I think it has gotten better, but that sucks. Number 11, Denver is dense. It's a capital city. It's a large city. It's Colorado's biggest city. Over 700,000 residents crammed into one city. It's dense. So if you prefer the suburban life, if you prefer having a little bit of space, maybe Denver's not really the best. That'll definitely be seen as a con to you. But if you love the city, if you like that urban environment, then Denver's good. But compared to other cities, maybe it's not quite as dense. You're not going to feel quite as on top of your neighbors as Some other places in the United States are, but it is a dense city, and I feel it. I feel it just driving from the suburb that I live in to Denver. I feel more cramped. I feel more claustrophobic. So that's definitely a con in my eyes. And number 13, Denver is dry. You just feel it. I'm a native. I've lived in Colorado my whole life, and I still have dry hands. My face, I still need to put a ton of lotion on every day. It is dry. The climate here is semi-arid. It doesn't look like it would be, but it is very dry here. In fact, a lot of people say that it is actually drier here than it is in Phoenix, Arizona. So whether that's true or not, it's dry here, and that is definitely a con. So if you're considering moving here, be prepared to spend extra money and extra time on lathering up in lotion. Okay, everybody, that's gonna wrap it up for this video. Again, this was the 13 pros, 13 cons of living in Denver. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you found some value, and it's helped you kind of understand a little bit more about what living in Denver is like, and help you determine if it's a good fit for you or not. I've got more videos coming out about Denver in this batch of videos. So, the top 35 neighborhoods of living in Denver, Colorado, the top 11 luxury neighborhoods in Denver, Colorado, 31 reasons to move to Denver, Colorado. Lots of good videos coming, and I have lots of videos already on the channel that you'll love. So subscribe, join this community, and visit our website, modestateteam.com. We've got lots of awesome content there, and if you want to look at some great homes for sale in the Denver area, we've got you covered. Again, my name is Landon. It's been a pleasure speaking with you today. Hope that you enjoyed the video. We'll talk to you on the next one.